Hey, what's going on, listeners, world, everybody? It's great to be back again. This is Pay Me No Mind. This is your host Wood, back with another episode in the boxing, the Wood Brothers Boxing Barrage series to get some boxing in. Welcome back to the show, my baby brother Brandon Woodson.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? Thanks for listening. Thank you for having me back on.
No problem, man. It's you've been MIA. I think you just had had a knee cleaned up or something, right?
Yeah, I just had a scope done on my knee, so I've been out of the game for about 2 months.
Okay. Man, I was struggling to get some different people on to talk some boxing. Brother, that I'm gonna keep bugging on Twitter at @NoBoutBoxing. I also had a sister that I had invited on, and she just disappeared on me. I don't know her Twitter handle at the moment, but Wanda, maybe you'll check in with me this week, or LaWanda. I don't know which one you go by, but she's out of Colorado, good-spirited fight fan. Yeah, man, just good to be back. Had to get an episode in. This Floyd fight snuck up on me, so that's why I kind of called you last minute to check on your availability. But we're gonna get into several things, do some recaps on Leo Santa Cruz, Morris, talk about some other PBC cards as far as Austin Trout was on earlier this week, a midweek card. Anthony Durrell, Marco Antonio Rubio also met up since we last spoke. And then we'll also get into some upcoming fights in terms of Cotto, Alvarez, Golovkin, Lemieux, and then we'll finish up with the big hitter this week, tomorrow night, September 12th, from the MGM Grand, Mayweather-Berto. Whether it's popular or not, it's jumping off, so we'll check that out. And then I think my brother is more open-minded than me. I'm gonna let him talk about a little bit of MMA stuff, and I'll try to weigh in. So this episode of the Wood Brothers Boxing Barrage will be boxing, and we'll also get into a little bit of MMA, try to balance it out a little bit. Ultimate Fight. That's kind of odd that that Dana White has this card on this same night, but we'll get into that in a minute.
You are listening to with show host Wood.
Hey, I thank everybody for pressing play. I got some heat coming really quickly before we get into this. We're due for one of the Hoops and Hops series with my partner at Greg Raps. Me and him might get together this week for the next installment of that. I know Ray Donovan's kind of running away from us, so we got to get on with that. And then also I just got an interview in the can, a great visit from a young lady out of Cincinnati. We talked about Empire. I'm trying to get a couple of shows up ahead of some series premieres coming up in the next 2 weeks as we get into the TV season. So I'm very excited to get that one up. I'm gonna probably post it about midweek, middle of next week. So I want to thank her. Her name is at JDokes, Doakes. I thought it was a great show. I just met her 20 minutes before we got that in, and it went very well. So, moving along, man, we got a lot of stuff to get into. But, in terms of, my brother's a big-time tennis fan. Your attention may have waned a little bit since we don't have a lot of Americans at the forefront of the game right now. But earlier this afternoon, and if you've been following tennis the last couple of weeks, Serena Williams was chasing history, trying to lock down this calendar Grand Slam achievement of holding all 4 titles at one time. And today that came to an abrupt end at the hands of one Roberta Vinci. Did you get to see the match at all, man?
Yeah, I watched the end of the match. I actually wasn't watching it from the beginning. I had to go take care of some things, but I saw the finish of the match.
What'd you think on it, man? You can even tie that into the the matchup with her and Venus, which was pretty good action.
You know, you said I'm a big time fan. I like tennis. Tennis is one of my favorite sports. I like all sports where it's mano y mano. The only thing about Serena, I just feel like emotionally she gets so into the matches, and you just see with every miss and with every net ball, double fault, it just seems like it takes so much out of her. And I thought it was going to be hard for her to win the slam, just from a standpoint of the pressure. I know she says she doesn't feel pressure and she doesn't like to talk about it, but I mean, even without getting it in a calendar year, she still had the Serena Slam. She still goes down, in my opinion.
That's the second time in her career, right? Or third time.
I know second. It may have been third, but I know it's the second time. So, I mean, she's outside of that, and you've only had 3 women in history to ever get the Grand Slam. I mean, you can't take away from what she's done. You can't take away from the fact that 33, she's still out here dominating. I believe she's 33.
33.
She's out here dominating. She played hard. The other lady, played a great match. She had one of those. She hit a lot of off-speed balls, and I really think that was what was the
kind of messed up the rhythm of everything she'd been facing all week. What about that extra day off? You think that might have factored into it?
If she was a younger player, maybe, but I think at 33 and having faced everything that she's faced, I really just think that it was just the right time. The opponent was, had the right skill set, and then probably the fact that it was right after she played her sister. I'm sure she's always downplayed that game and made it like it's just another, like it's not hard to beat your sister. And, with Venus, that was one of her better matches against Serena
Venus
in a long time. So, I think it was just a lot of stuff that factored into it, but not taking anything away from Vinci. She played a heck of a game.
Yeah, Vinci, like you said, she mixed in, her shots, and it boils down to it, man. She stayed relatively error-free.
She did.
And when Serena doubled, went 2 for 1 on unforced errors, and you get into someone that's kind of playing mistake free, I mean, that disparity right there is really gonna lead to a player's demise. But I didn't really give her a lot of credit. I didn't really give this challenge as much credit as it deserves, but it all kind of unfolded where it lined up some pretty significant hurdles for her to cross, as far as facing her sister, in the quarterfinals or whatnot. And then, to reach this point and to see somebody like Vinci sitting there, it was kind of set up for her to lose. Like that unranked, unseeded person, they're there for a purpose, and it was like the tennis guys just intervened and was like, here you go. But hey, man, credit to Vinci.
Kind of like
a trap match.
Yeah. And
on top of that, man, Vinci, I loved her fight. I tweeted that out during it. I loved her fight because she could have gave up, and but also the interview that she gave was so genuine, man. Like the sorry New York, because she got a little swagger in the middle in that third set after she won that one volley and was like and did the Hulk Hogan
4-3.
That Hulk Hogan ear thing, and then was like, you came here to root for her but give it up to me. I thought that was very uncharacteristic for a European player. So I enjoyed meeting her. I thought that was fantastic. It was great tennis. It was a great week for tennis, and it's an all-Italian showdown on the men's side. I'm not really going to get into that right now. One more topic before we get into the boxing, before we start losing people. Hey, man, we don't have to go full bore on my Redskins, but we are NFC East fans with you following the Philadelphia Eagles rather closely. The NFC East it's been broken down all types of ways as far as the winners. I mean, for about 2 weeks, my Redskins, who've now totally imploded before the season even starts, they were rumored to be a potential team to win it. And then we've had a few injuries, and then the whole thing with our RG3 being demoted. What's your thoughts, man? I mean, Bradford looks solid. you have the two running backs coming over with Matthews and Murray. Aguilar had some big flashes. I like from the beginning. I was telling people about Matthews maturing and moving to a go-to option. I thought it was interesting that Sam Bradford elected not to sign his contract and is going to go out here and try to play himself into a big deal. With his injury history, I thought that was interesting. But what's your, your outlook for the season?
The people that know me as an Eagles fan, they know I'm really humble when it comes to giving them any kind of preseason accolades, what kind of expectations. Last year, I was an 8-8 guy. Actually, looking at us on paper, I honestly believe this is Chip Kelly's most complete team. I don't think he has the egos. I don't think he got rid of all the people that he didn't want in his system, and then he replaced them with credible guys that should be able to fit in the system. I like what Sam Bradford did because in my opinion, that lets me know that this man's coming to play this year. He's coming to try to get it done, and I actually think that when you look at what he did in college, the high speed, the no huddle, the spread out, multiple targets, you give him that opportunity to really to learn and come out there and perform. I think this is a good set for him to have some really good numbers. I'm in a couple fantasy leagues, and I was hoping that I could steal the guy in like the 9th, 10th round. I was picking everybody else, and that 9th round comes around, and I got him. My backup pick was Jameis Winston because I think he's loaded, but off subject. But Philadelphia, I feel like defensively, they're going to have some guys come back that was injured. I'm dying to see how Barwin heals up because 2 years ago he was, towards the end of the season, he was the man. Offensively, I think as long as Bradford's there, we're good. If he gets hurt, it's 8-8. So,
were you shocked that Tebow was released at the last minute?
Actually, I was. I actually was hoping that he would stay around and they would do something with Sanchez. And then they turned around and got rid of Barkley. So Which
kind of set it up to look like they made room for
Tebow.
That daggone Chip Kelly is he's an interesting cat.
And another thing is, I think Zach Ertz, the other receivers that you mentioned, I think Zach Ertz could come up this year and really, the Eagles for a long time under McNabb always had a solid tight end. Always had good. And in the last few years, that tight end position has kind of fell off. And I think Zach Ertz can fill that position and be that reliable target, that big possession, receiving type, tight end guy that they can get out there. I think that they're looking pretty good, and I actually like our chances this year.
Who are they opening up with again?
Atlanta.
Okay, so they should get off to 1-0 possibly.
Yeah, and if they can't put up 40, I believe it's in Atlanta.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's Monday night. I believe it's in Atlanta.
I'm excited. I really the only team that I don't really follow just because my hip hop taste kind of filters over into my fandom for my pro teams. So I follow the Giants a little bit, and I'm interested to see what they do. But they seem to be a lower level team right now. Although just when you think they're down is when they usually strike. But I see Cruz isn't playing this first game. But the only team that I really don't care for and don't support in any shape, form, or fashion is the Cowboys. So I keep an eye on what's going on in Philly. And then as far as for my Redskins, I will say that Kirk Cousins in Jay Gruden's system might elevate us to 5 wins, 6 wins versus if Robert Griffin III was trying to play in Jay Gruden's system. You probably are looking at 3 wins or 4 wins. So I just think if the defense doesn't come together and if we don't get more balanced, I'm just kind of down on that. Lastly, real quickly before we jump, Wayne was on the national scene. Our high school was on ESPNU last week against Moeller, and they squeaked out a win. Tonight they play another team from Cincinnati. But I just say all that to say